So yeah, that would be the next topic that I'd like to just get into is like somebody sees this or saw you on some other interview or whatever. Like what you imagine somebody in Des Moines, Iowa, like they want to get involved in this. Like what do they do?
Well, I mean,
Like they know that it's not working for them. Like what
I
now?
think the city is its own beast, and I can't necessarily always speak to other places because I'm not sure how they
Totally.
operate. But I mean, if everywhere was like New York City, your first step is to find out who your council person is. That is like
Mm-hmm.
number one. And I don't know how Des Moines, Iowa's government structure is, but
They've got something
they
like
have
that,
to
I'm sure.
um, find out who your
Yeah.
council person is and send them an email. That's like the very, very first step. Hi, I'm so and so. I own this bar. Um, these are the things that are plaguing me right now. I'd love to set up a meeting or a call, um, and I want to be more involved. And the very first meeting I had with the Hospitality Alliance that was not like a board meeting, where I got invited out to a dinner with the senator, and his name was Gianardes. And the biggest takeaway from that dinner was, we were talking about drinks to go at that dinner. And he's like, let me tell you, for every one email I get from a restaurant owner, I get 20 from liquor store owners saying, don't do drinks to go, because the liquor store authority did
Mm-hmm.
not want drinks to go. And he's like, so
Right.
when I have 20,000 bills on my desk and I'm getting one email from a restaurant owner and I'm getting 20 from the liquor store owners, that's in my head. He's like, just send
Right.
an email. Just send an email. Say, hey, this is up for vote. This would greatly affect my business if you voted in support or not support of this. Um, that's like the very easiest thing you can do. Um, and
Mm-hmm.
it is, I think we all, because we're using so many screens now, you kind of just, you're like, I don't, what I say or whatever I put out there, it's just lost in the jumble of like what everyone else is saying.
Yeah. Never gonna see this. Who
They see it,
cares? Yeah.
they see it and they read it. And especially, I mean, just put it on auto generate and send it every day. Get a MailChimp
Totally.
and
Like
just send it every day.
so I was reading something about it. It wasn't like a hospitality thing. It was just like a day or like a week in the life of like a local government person. It was just like, yeah, I mean, we just take tallies of like the emails and the calls that we get like for and against, and then we just kind of go for
Truly.
it from there.
That's
It's just like,
because they can't read all those emails. They
yeah,
have to just be like
you don't
pro
have to
con
like,
or
yeah, you don't have to write a masterpiece. Just write an email and say
yeah.
what you think, like what you need.
Be annoying. We're literally, at least in New York City and state, we are paying so much in taxes. Be annoying. Get your
Yeah,
voice heard, and don't.
totally.
I mean, again, don't think you're protecting anybody, and by being demure about this. They're in politics for this, and it's like you have to be
Yeah.
loud to be heard. Um,
Right. If you're not speaking up, somebody else is, and they don't necessarily have
or
your best
and
interests
or in
at
the
heart.
opposite, nobody's speaking up because you think somebody else is doing it. It's
Yeah.
like you
Right.
think that there's 25,000 eating and drinking establishments in New York City. You think, all right, well, at least half those people are sending an email. I can guarantee you the majority of these people are just trying to operate their businesses and they're not. So if you have the bandwidth to generate an email, it's just send. Um, and that's
Mm-hmm.
just the way to even start.
Mm-hmm. What do you do? I'm sure you know people who aren't as involved as you are in this in New York. Like, what's the conversation you have with somebody to try to activate them? Is it the same thing? It's like, hey, send this email. Like, I have this email draft for you. I'll send it over. You send it to who needs to get
Yeah.
it. Is
I
it
mean,
that?
everyone's bandwidth is very different. And that's a thing I talk about like in these small business council meetings. And it's just like create things that people can regurgitate, right? That they can share.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that's like Save NYC bars. It's what it started out as, like, as we would, get a thing that was generated by the Hospitality Alliance and we'd copy the link and we would share it. Be like, please. And I literally did
Mm-hmm.
it this morning for something. that we need bar and restaurant owners to testify because there's this crazy thing happening in the city where citizens can issue noise tickets and they get a commission off of it. Well, there's two people.
Oh, that sounds
There are
awful.
literally two people that have put out over, I think it was like $2 million worth of tickets, two individuals. And it's like basically this loophole in the law that allows this to happen. And a lot of these operators, first of all, they're not being told that they're getting this. So all of a sudden, they'll get 20 tickets in a row. The person giving the ticket doesn't go in and say, hey, this is happening. Can you turn down the music? They just every day go send a ticket, send a ticket.
Ding 'em.
50 they're operators with like 20 to $50,000 in fines that didn't know until they all came in at once. So we need people to
Oh.
testify to city council about this. And so, the Hospitality Alliance created this infographic with a link and they sent it to
Mm-hmm.
emails. Well, I'm of the younger generation of bar owners where I'm like, emails are great, but Instagram is like where people are going to see this. And so I
Mm-hmm.
screenshot it, copy the link, put it in my story, put it in Save NYC Bar Stories, and I'm like, testify. So I think that's a big thing I'm trying to get across to anyone that I'm working with is like create something that can be put out quickly that takes very little
Easily.
bandwidth.
Yeah.
And like even just sharing,
Mm-hmm.
hey friends, can you just share this story? Maybe you didn't get affected by this, but you know 100 bar owners, maybe one of them did. And maybe they haven't seen the
Mm-hmm.
emails. It's just about like regurgitating information and even just sharing that is a way to be involved or send an
Right.
auto-generated email to your council person, to your senator. Find out who those people
Mm-hmm.
are just so you can have them in your back pocket where you're like, I know who these people are. So when something does affect you, you're not already overwhelmed by what's affecting you. You already, and you don't feel like you can look for that. You
You
already
know where
have
to
it.
go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have your safety net
Totally.
in place first. And then something's going to affect you
Yeah.
enough that you're going to be like, wow, I'm glad I have that email. I'm glad I know who I need to talk to.
Right.
Because bandwidth is a thing for bar people. You put yourself into
Totally.
hospitality so much and you give so much of yourself that you don't leave a lot left for the other, for yourself,
Mm-hmm.
which I think, is another whole
That's like,
problem.
it's one of those things where it's like, you know how people always say like, if you're frustrated at yourself because you're not going to the gym, well, put your workout clothes in your car or in your bag the night before so that like that first step, which is always the hardest one, is like done. You can't like use that
Yep.
excuse. Knowing who to contact and like having that email saved as a contact in your email, it makes it so much easier because you can write an email in 25
Yeah.
seconds.
You're right though.
You know what I mean?
It's that first step, honestly. And it sounds like so simple and I know putting into action is a lot different, but
Hmm.
it's that first uncomfortable thing that you do and then everything else starts to feel easier,
Right.
especially if it's something as simple as sending an email. I get that like public speaking is hard because I've had to figure that out.
Yeah. There's no doubt about
Um,
it.
I still black out.
I can't imagine that was, yeah, I can't imagine that was a fun process figuring that out. I do not like it
Yeah,
either.
but you know what?
So I feel for
It
you there.
it gets less scary and it feels so rewarding doing a
Hmm.
hard thing that used to be scary and being better at it. So
Yeah, totally.